Well, ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing this evening, this beautiful evening here in White Room with beautiful man born of age woman Haley Deegan? I think that they did a Michael Jackson on her. There's a monster involved, I guarantee you that. That's the Antichrist symbol right there next to her. You see it? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone for joining. I see Jared Crumrine. I'm still struggling with that last name. Brian Callahan, obviously being a regular stupid ass, some bitch. Doug Broderick, and I hope that's even, I don't even know if that's correct at all. But time to crack open one, fire it up, and be entertained. There you go. You figured it out. We see Michael Sire, will you forgive me, has joined. Eid Motorsports from Fresno, California. Mariah Eid, and we're going to touch on these damn privileged few tonight. We're going to be talking about them. We're going to be mentioning them a little bit. Hopefully that works. Anyway. And Mariah Eid is, anyways, this is what I was trying to get on before I had the charging issue. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. If things go wrong, I'm sorry. It is what it is. I really don't like the angle that I have right now. I do like the shirt. It's a very nice shirt. Grimsley Classics. GrimsleyClassics.com for more information. In fact, hold on just a second. Let me do this, because these cords nowadays. Oh my, we got too many problems to worry about right now. This is electronics, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens in the electronical world. For the record, I think it was a cord. Is it a cord or is it the phone? It's the cord. All right, cord. Don't you hate these things? Anyways, Mariah Eid, young privileged kid. So I was talking to Mr. Eid there, and I have to realize when I'm talking about these kids that there are, I always say, unless you're 5 years old in a quarter midget and 14 in a sprint car, you're going to be a nobody. And at that point, you're talking about a couple $100,000 being put into you one way or another. That y'all could talk about Kyle Larson being the greatest of all time and all this shit, and he came from nothing, but something came to him. Whether it was a Catholic priest or some generous old people, that doesn't make a difference. Whether they went in the back room or they all just shook hands and hugged in the front room, that's up for your interpretation. I'm not here to talk about that. All I'm saying is at that point, those are the only people who are getting any kind of recognition or attention, apparently, in the modern day racing world, are these few opportunistic, whatever you want to call them, people. And most of the time, these other, like I was saying to Mr. Eid, he's out there busting his guts out, and instead of going to racing himself, he is choosing to put the effort and money into a little outlaw cart to try to get his daughters, into racing. Instead of him being his age and getting a sprint car for himself, he's getting an outlaw cart, trying to give opportunities to his kid. And there's a lot of them. McKenzie Diesel, box stock or whatever. I heard from the little mullet media people that some of those are 125s. I watch the enemy. Trust me, I watch these enemies out here. I ain't hiding. Although honestly, I'll give credit to that mullet media guy, whoever it is hosting the show. Man, we should be having a show right now. Because he's calling out the racers that are there for what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. He ain't scared like everyone else is. So I got to give the host there some credit. But Mariah Eid's a young girl who, pretty much outran Kyle Larson at the showcase. We can all debate on what Kyle Larson had in his cart. But Mariah Eid's a bad little young racer. And, he's putting his guts out there, busting his what to give her some kind of opportunity in racing. But unless some old, like somebody in the Justin Sanders, I'm just going to name drop it. And I was talking to Heavy D in Northern California. Unless somebody comes across and says, hey, I'm this old guy. I really like what your little boy or girl's doing. I know you ain't got no money, but let's give Timmy a shot. I don't want anything in return. I'm just a big fan. Unless that happens, unless some old dude, like I was saying in my video, if you ain't seen it, I released it today, where I was talking about this racing world's like the NBA, without any organization like the NBA. It's just out there. There's no actual high school. There's no actual college where everybody gets to go on the court and see who's the best. There is like basketball without all these processes. So you tell me where the LeBron James talent is. This NASCAR stuff, you can even throw World of Outlaws in there, upper tier dirt racing. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. That's the country club. There's a price tag to get in over there and play. You could start off with $300,000 in a little midget. And then you can work your way up to $8 million or $13 million for an Xfinity rent-a-ride. And we could start you off with $1 million a year in ARCA and testing for $100,000. Come test with us for $100,000 at Daytona. I got some notes. We're getting into this. Or then we can get you in a truck for $3 million and you can have lunch with Kyle Busch and feel like a fucking superstar. When really we just had a lunch with your ass and hoodwinked you for $3 million. But my bigger point is that's the country club. Out here on the dirt track, the weekly racers, all this stuff, that's the blacktop where the men and women are kicking some ass. And we need to start telling the world about, hey, that's just a bunch of rich people over there. Here's where the LeBron James is. That didn't have a high. Here's the Tom Brady. Here are these bad you-know-whatas that don't have a high school and college to go over there. And they've manipulated in the country club the entire population and making the world think they're the best. And we're fucking grassroots. And then we help that when some old guy over there in the country club, some rich old guy who has all the power, or some other guy, who's friends with those people, or some rich dude off to the side, not even in the country club, he's in the old folks' home or Bohemian Grove in the winery. And they walk over, they come down from their big area on the rich side of town, they come down to the blacktop to the dirt track, and they say, oh, there's that little boy right there. He's a really good driver. Or that little girl right there, it's a really good driver. Come over here and play with us. And then when they go, we on the blacktop, instead of talking about our guys who are out here kicking ass, our grown people who had to work for their shit, we idolize that one little boy or girl that was picked by the old rich man who goes now to the country club, and we make the country club happen. We make the turmoil that we suffer from, which is relevance and respect, we create it when we celebrate the little boy and girl that the old men pick from the country club to come play. We detour ourselves in this. Now, what I'm trying to say to the Eid and all that is I understand there's some boys and girls who didn't have all the money. But there's people who are just born and raised in the country club. There are people who are just born with the same last name, or they're an Earnhardt granddaughter. And they're automatically a shoe-in. Or they're a Deegan, who's a daughter of a Deegan, or the father's a stockholder in the company of Monster. Although we saw NASCAR, they don't have a title sponsor anymore. There's no such thing as Cup or Winston Cup Series or Sprint Cup Series. There's NASCAR Cup Series now, and they split it up into 4 quarters for a title sponsorship, but it's really like a underbearing sponsorship. It's not even really a sponsorship at all. But all I'm saying is, while I'm saying all this, there are the Mariah Eads. There are the McKenzies. There are these families out there where the dad, instead of spending all of his money on his own street stock or own sprint car, they spend it on an outlaw cart for their kid. I'm just telling you, and McKenzie, Diesel, Todd McKenzie, the owner of the company, he went from NASCAR to dirt. Now, Larson helped that. Okay, you want to call it a gateway drug? Call it a gateway drug. But I'm just telling you, once they get over here into the dirt world and start learning about it, I'm going to tell them how it works. And that's why he ended up becoming a fan, because I started talking about these money figures and how things actually work. And he goes and looks it up, and he's like, holy shit, this guy's right. You know, so I'm here in a realistic perspective. Now, is it more realistic to keep celebrating little boys and girls going to cup racing, or is it more realistic to get some dirt track racers in these 900 horsepower sprint cars and late model racers and IMCA modified racers some respect for what they're doing out there, or some attention for this racing that they put on? That's more insane. While y'all sit back and hope that the little boy and girl that goes over there and plays with the old man ain't controlled by the sugar daddy. And that he's going to go over there and tell the world about how great dirt is. I mean, some of them are doing that. Some of them are doing it under the grassroots label, because that's your lower form. That's the house. We're out in the fields. This is segregation by income. This is true segregation. This is the actual segregation that exists in the real world. In the real world, yeah, about 50 years ago, 40 years ago, used to be about what color you were. But even back then, we can go deep in the history if you want to talk about like color and slavery and all that as far as that segregation goes. But it always came back to income. Who had money, who had power. And in today's world, you're segregated by income. Now, there has been some systematic things in the real world that has created these different sectors of income, gross income families. But that may also be the case in the racing world. Systematic marketing in media and manipulation. Once again, not too many people wanted to be a fighter pilot until they saw Top Gun. All right, Jeff Gordon. All right. You keep crying when Tom Cruise comes on stage. You keep crying. And I got a video coming up for Exalta and DuPont. Go watch Dark Waters, guys. Go watch Dark Waters. You want some shit on some people. Go watch Dark Waters. Anyways, we got... first topic is this midget mix-up. Of course, we're coming into indoor season, or whatever the Swindell Lab video called it, indoor season, TPs, or whatever the hell it is. I thought it was a very entertaining video. I thought it was good. I thought it was great news to see that CV was going to be in the Swindell 39. I think that ride, Ryan Bernal, I was excited about him, but Ryan Bernal to Logan Seavey. I mean, we're talking about somebody who's a preliminary night winner. This is and Michael Pickens, though, that was really stout. He's obviously been a threat, but I really like this move with Seavey going to the 39. Carson Elledge going to McIntosh's ride. Cannon McIntosh, who's the original guy who made that team kind of trendy. He's going to KKM, Keith Kunz Motorsports. Keith Kunz Motorsports is, from my understanding, from everyone I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of people, not going to be at the Dome. They're out at the Dome. They are going to be at the Chili Bowl, though. Klossmeyer is going to be in it. McIntosh is going to be in it. It looks like their main superstar, as Seavey's to the Swindell 39, Larson is in his own super elitist, personally owned vehicle. I hate these one-car team. No, you're not a little one-car team. The fuck is wrong with you? You're actually being a little greedy piece of shit by only having one car. At least Swindell puts two out on the track. You know, one car. All for me. Did it by my little self. Kiss my fucking ass. Richie Lee. I don't even want to talk about it. Ain't no little one-car team. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. Unreal. That's like the United States government, you know, disarming all of their own nuclear weapons and then just building one and said, oh, it's just one little country with one nuke. Fucking crazy. No. Anyway, so CVDUS 39, Larson in his own, Bell to the Tucker Boat Motorsports team. I kind of get where that is. That's going to lead into the Toyota development with the 410 motor. I got so many opinions on that. It's coming. So you got Klossmeyer. He is going to be in a KKM car at the Chili Bowl. Talked to him today. Tried to get him to call in. It's a little too late for him to call in. I'm hearing that next year and possibly Chili Bowl, Buddy Kofoid is going to the Mobil 1 ride. That's what I'm hearing. Not for sure. I don't know for a fact, but that is what some people are telling me. Not Klossmeyer, not anyone racing there currently, just some people who are in the loop that Buddy Kofoid is going to go to the Mobil 1 ride. As far as star power on the team, you always had star power with this. You had Larson or Bell. Every single Chili Bowl, that's the star power that you had. CV became, obviously, a very big star power with the national championship last year. And then, I don't know. Klossmeyer, is he a main guy? I mean, I don't know. He's a good driver. He's been in the series, but you hear Tucker Klossmeyer's name, you don't think threat to win the Chili Bowl. You don't. I mean, you think he could, but it's not eye popping. I think that right now your Lone Ranger, your main superstar, the star power of Keith Kunz Motorsports is Rico Abreu. So Rico Abreu is your Lone Ranger, and let's be honest about this. Somebody just said Chaz in a KKM ride. Hey, somebody wants to do it, I'll go out there and whoop Larson's ass up and down the racetrack. I don't think the racing world could handle promo videos like I'm going to be making coming up next year. If somebody's got a race car, you want to see a show get put on, you want to know, you want the racing world to know about your weekly racetrack or you or your team. Call me on out to come over to your racetrack and drive a car for a week. I made a Mariah Romig in Pennsylvania, one of the biggest names in the United States of America, and she drives a little champ cart. Anyways, Rico is a star power, and let's be clear, Rico is the biggest star we have in open wheel racing for obvious reasons. Obviously, a little person, it's almost like if a black guy came in here and started kicking ass, it'd be the same kind of thing. I don't know if he'd get more prejudice, probably not, but. Anyways, but you got to give Rico credit because he told NASCAR, fuck you. He told the rent-a-rides, fuck you. Rico Abreu, or we'll be mean and say Abreu, he told NASCAR in that little $3 million rent-a-ride Thor Motorsports, kiss my ass, I'll go run some sprint cars. That's what he basically said. So you got to give him credit. Even though he may be renting a Keith Kunz Motorsport, he still got his own sprint car team, and he's the guy who had the money to go rent out NASCAR rides, and he told him, fuck you. So I got to give Rico some credit there. But Rico's big. He trumps everyone as far as likes on Facebook when it comes to sprint car racers. I think Bobby Pierce is one of the biggest. Scott Bloomquist right in there. And then, of course, World of Outlaw Sprint Cars only have 200 and something thousand likes on Facebook. So Rico's almost bigger than the sport, probably why he doesn't dedicate to the series. But, you got to give Rico credit. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Keith Kunz Motorsports not going to the Dome. I don't know how that's really going to work out. I'm going to the Dome. For those who want to know, I'm trying to set up some live events at some local area coffee shops, sports bars. I'm in contact with all of them. I want to set up a live show, bring in some drivers. We'll have post-race shows live every single night at the Dome at the Kyle Steffens Racing Team Trailer, to Kyle Steffens Motorsports trailer every night. So I'll be at the Dome. So this midget mix-up is just crazy. I don't know if, like, everyone else has finally built equipment up to compete with Keith Kunz Motorsports, and now they're like, hey, instead of giving Keith, $300,000, we'll give you the same deal for $225. Maybe that's what's happening. But then you have guys like Zeb Wise. He's going to be full-time in the All-Stars next year in the 11, the Dave Blaney car that I would consider. Was that a rent-a-ride? I don't know. Could be interesting. Hearing a lot of non-wing guys or midget people as well want to go winged. I'm hearing, and the midget people, Tucker Klossmeyer apparently is going to be doing a lot more of the winged racing next year. Which, speaking of winged racing, that's where we got to get to Toyota, to the Outlaws. This is the beginning of the end. This is where local racing, we really need to start. I saw Justin Lawson's comment, are you going to be at the Tulsa Shootout? I'm trying to work out a way to get there. Obviously, I don't have support with media credentials like I do at Gateway and other racing events. But that's the situation at the Tulsa Shootout. Hopefully, maybe I can get some gigs, get some sponsors, get some supporters. Links in the description to do that. Also, longlivethechaz.com if you can't see the cards. We got some new apparel on there, got some new hats. I'm trying to get one in right now so I can start wearing it. But back to Toyota getting into wing sprint car racing. So for those who don't understand, the rise of NASCAR in the 90s ended up being basically what IndyCar had to do in the late 60s, early 70s. They had to destroy little teams. NASCAR destroyed, in this transition when NASCAR went from kind of known to really big and took over the world of motorsports, back in the 80s, they weren't that big. Steve Kinser's racing for $50,000. Dale Sr.'s racing for $47,000. Sprint car racers making more than them. You also had Champ Car Racing that was paying more than them for a god-awful long time, Silver Crown. But the way they got to the top is they developed multi-car teams with Hendrick, with all these different car owners. They got it to where only a few amount of people could afford there. Basically, got these car owners were multi-car teams where they could have a full field with a few guys controlling the game. This is also for gambling. Because if a gambling situation needs to occur where something needs to be fixed, similar to we hear, refs fixing games here or a player missing a field goal for a gambling purpose, you got to get the sport, if it's going to become really mainstream, to a point to where fixing can occur. Look at the T-Rex car at Charlotte. Look up the summer of 2001 with Dale Jr. He's out front of the field saying he's three-quarters throttle pulling away at a draft track. So in that transition, that's when you killed the fields to where only a few people own the majority of the competitive vehicles. Who cares about 40th or 35th? We're talking about the top 25 need to be locked down. The top 10 for sure. Top 10 basically for sure need to be locked down. Now, what occurred in this situation as well is that's when the car companies got involved heavily. That is also when NASCAR kind of killed other forms of motorsports. You even can reference Jimmy Johnson in the Dale Jr. download, where he talked about the rise of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is what destroyed stadium truck racing, because Toyota went and started supporting they could get more advertisement through the truck series than they could racing in stadium trucks. You saw this start to kill a lot of corporate support for everyone else because everybody went with the NASCAR train because that's where the car companies went. The car companies want to support this stuff so they can also have control. When you look at some of the stuff that happens on the NASCAR side of things, it's usually car companies making the decision. Christopher Bell's getting into NASCAR the only reason he did that is because Kyle Larson left TRD to Chevy with the Ganassi deal. So that opened up a spot for Christopher Bell to make a move into the NASCAR ranks. Of course, he still had that financial support, and of course, he's a hell of a driver, better than Kyle Larson. If you haven't seen that, he's the one guy who's won the Chili Bowl multiple times, passed Kyle Larson on the last lap, and he's actually led the World of Outlaws point standings. Don't know why everybody else just keeps ignoring these facts, but at the end of the day, this Toyota deal is the next level. You saw Tony Stewart bring in Ford. Now Ford's involved. Chevy, Kyle Larson, Chevy Performance. See it all over the car, bringing it in. Now, Christopher Bell. That's why he's with Tucker Boat, because Boat's helping him with that car. Bringing in Toyota. Now they're setting up a mini-me. They're putting in the same system in NASCAR, even though the same system in NASCAR is killing racing overall. That's not the goal. I've been trying to tell people this. The goal isn't about flourishing with the sport. The goal is about what mankind has always been about. It's about control and power. It's about being the king. Or, in a monarchist system, a group of kings. So that's the current situation that developed in NASCAR. Was a few people now control all the competitive cars. Two people control pretty much all the tracks. And you can literally have a table in NASCAR right now with 15 people control the whole damn sport of racing because of how these rent-a-rides and these dirt people are siphoned into, that's the dream. I got to be a music star. I got to be a movie star. I got to be a cup driver. Same thing. It's the fame. It's the status that brings them in, that keeps them coming. So you can literally have about 15, 20 people sit in a room and control the entire sport of NASCAR and racing. I mean, especially now with Penske. Penske owns Indianapolis and the IRL. Penske did a hell of a job, man. Go look at when he came back in the sport. It was right after that old Tom Cruise movie came out. He picked up a driver named Rusty Wallace. Who was the only other real driver in that movie? Let's not talk about it. You don't want to think about it. Why did Mopar leave sprint car racing, or is there still engines out there? There are. That's the one that's missing, but they're now Fiat. Which is very interesting also when you reference Penske and all these other people, because Dallara is a very interesting subject as well, it's Halle. So Ford versus Ferrari is a very interesting story, especially in 2019, because Ferrari, or Italy, Dallara, took over the IndyCar scene with the destruction of open-wheel IndyCar racing, and now they've taken over NASCAR because now they're hired to make the new Gen 7 body for NASCAR. So look up Dallara, although you don't care. But this is the beginning. They're setting up a mini system in World of Outlaw sprint car racing to take it to the top. They got to somewhat outprice everybody, and they already have done a damn good job. I think it's 6% of the country makes 6 digits or more, and we're talking about a race car that is 6 digits. What is that? It's a very small percentage. It's a very small percentage of the population that can even afford to be on the track in a World of Outlaw sprint car, much less afford to run the full season at $1.2 million or $800,000. That's the scape there. So that's what they're setting up. They're setting up a monocle system so that they can control the racing scene. And the World of Outlaw sprint cars is going to take off here very soon. What I've been talking about, sprint cars and all that getting very big. It's about to happen. It's coming. It's about to happen, but it's going to be under the reign of this circle of people. It's not going to just come up naturally. That's why it's about outlaws. That's why it's about USAC midgets. That's why it's about chili bowls, events, certain things, not everything. That's why your little local racer's a grassroots guy. These are the World of Outlaws. These are the best of the best. Little local racer. He's down there on the bottom. He's just a local racer. He's a grassroots guy. It's just it's a microcosm. It's just a bunch of microcosms, kind of like the 12 dimensions. Although that's a whole nother subject in itself. I don't even know if you could handle it. But that is unfortunately what's happening. That's why I think it's more important now than ever. And they're probably gonna turn it into a developmental series. They're probably gonna start renting out rides to get into NASCAR because they've seen the midget guys don't fare well when they go to trucks and stuff. It's all about, Bell and Larson had a lot of winged sprint car experience when they made that transition, and they're the most successful ones. Chase Briscoe, can we name how many people can whoop Chase Briscoe's ass on a dirt track? Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as well, Casey Kane. Larson and Bell are really good, but are we going to forget Bell couldn't make the A-main at Port Royal with the Outlaws? Are we going to forget that Larson couldn't make the main against Micros, didn't make the main at Knoxville? Why are we forgetting this? There's other guys out here that are really good. Larson may have not missed their setup, or Bell may have not missed maybe these other guys are really, really good. Now, World of Outlaws are going to take off, and that's why it's important about the local racer, because it's all about, after you pay for this midget or something, you can go to NASCAR, but first it's ARCA. I saw a team, or a truck team recently, have tryouts at Myrtle Beach for $10,000. $5,000 crash deposit, $5,000 to try out. Bring a late model to play with as well. They're probably gonna have 10 people and pull in $100,000, hopefully to get a little bang on the right front fender and charge $5,000 on a few of those people and clear $60,000. They rent the track for $1,200. Fucking idiots. And then ARCA team testing at Daytona, Chad Bryant Racing. I had one of my undercover NASCAR executives, by the way. I believe it or not, I actually have some people up in there that really like the Chaz. Oh, I'm saying what they can't say. You don't understand it, though. You don't get it. You don't get it. But I had one of my undercover NASCAR executives tell me they want $100,000 to try that ARCA test at Daytona. You people just keep buying into the dream. This is why it's very important for local racers to mean more now than ever. The world has to know the difference between your local sprint car driver and Donnie Schatz is about $800,000, because I know some local sprint car guys that can whoop some ass. The difference between your local non-wing sprint car, where I'm at right now, Phoenix, Arizona, and C.J. Leary is a couple $100,000. C.J. Leary's a badass. He's a Tom Brady. But there's some other guys out here that are Tom Brady's too. They just didn't get no high school or college. You know, they didn't get the same opportunities, the same money, the same equipment. These hundreds of thousands of dollars that fall off trees, apparently. When you call somebody a Tom Brady, they're Tom Brady in the racing world, but there's some others out there, too. For every Tom Brady, there's a Peyton Manning, and in the racing world, we got a lot of them. We got a lot of them. Some people are Johnny Manziels, though. Let's be honest. I know a few, especially around here. But local racing needs to matter more. We need, there are good local racers, too. Not all of them are Johnny Manziels. When I say Johnny Manziel, I mean like a rich kid who, beats up on other rich kids, but when he goes to the pros, he can't handle it. He's like a CFL talent or something like that. He's not top tier, but he has the equipment to outmoney other people on the local racing scene. But there's still some guys that do a lot with a little. So we need to make sure local racing matters more now than ever. And here's some stuff that detours it. Dell Jr. on Twitter today. If I owned a track, it would be dirt. Oh, wow. It would only run street stocks with a claim rule. It will. Okay, so we're really, really backwoods. It's pay $1K to win. It would pay $1K to win. We'd be done racing by 9 p.m., and there'd be a honky-tonk bar just outside of Turn 4 that's open 24/7. So, if anybody's never heard of dirt track racing, and that's the first time they've ever seen a tweet about it, because it's funny, jokes get around a little bit more. I've noticed that with my videos. The joke videos get around. The serious, true ones, nobody shares them, like today. But if somebody sees it for the first time, what's a dirt? There's a track, owned dirt track? Street stocks? What? So it's like some kind of stock thing on the street with the claim roll? What the hell? Paying only $1,000? And then there's a honky-tonk bar. So you're nothing but a broke, under-the-tree redneck bum. That's a drunk. Probably go home and beat your kids and slap your wife. Fucking sad, dude. We need to help the world know what's going on out here. We need to help the world know Dell Jr. get his ass waxed at most local racetracks. We need to let the world know Kyle Busch get his ass whacked at most local racetracks. And when these NASCAR fans come and say Chase Elliott, if he showed up to the Knoxville Nationals, he'd win 3 straight, they need to really shut the fuck up or get backhanded in the jaw. That's for damn sure. ASCS National. Jake Newman, hold on. Let's see if we got some comments on that. Kathy Rex says, Chaz, agree with you. A lot of great local guys just don't have the funds to make it big. That we have to let the world know. This Toyota deal, this Tony Stewart Ford, this Kyle Larson Chevy, they're putting the pieces in place. This Outlaw thing is going to be known soon, buddy. But I'll tell you what, the only way to combat that is with mom and pop talent and shops and cars. We got to let them know that we ain't no little grassroots bums that can't make it to the Outlaws. We're just lacking $800,000. And the world needs to know that. They need to know this whole money system. They may not understand racing, but you start telling them about money, and they go, wow, what the fuck? And people respect talent. That's why it's more about respect. It ain't really about relevance. It's about to get known. It's about respect. You know, people may know who you are, but if you can't whoop no ass, ain't nobody going to care. They don't respect you. So anyways, let's see. KKM being the Midget World Patriots, not necessarily. I mean, I guess you could say that. I saw Justin Lawson say that. Doe Jr. was just saying that as a soundbite, but still, that track would fail. I don't know if it would fail, unfortunately, in his neck of the woods. Moving on to the next subject. ASCS National Schedule was released, and I'm going to go through this. This ASCS National Schedule, and this is a tour. When I'm talking about this Outlaw deal, I'm about to start jumping on ASCS National because I know some damn good drivers that whooped Aaron Reitzel's ass for a long time. Let's not say it like that. I know some damn good drivers in Texas that whooped Aaron Reitzel's ass for a long time. Once he got a lot of money behind him and started running ASCS National and only could compete with guys on the national tour, he did really well. But there's some guys out there on the ASCS National Tour that can whoop Aaron Reitzel's ass, and Aaron Reitzel is debatably one of the best known 410 sprint car racers in the country right now. So when I see that with Aaron Reitzel, I say, okay, so if Aaron Reitzel can go do that with that much funding from Botman, then all these guys who beat Aaron Reitzel in southern Texas in the Houston area, like Tommy Bryant, Ray Allen Kohanek, if they had all that money, they may be able to do just what he did as well. If all these other guys in ASCS had all the money from Botman, like Aaron Reitzel is right now, they may be able to do all that he is doing right now as well because they beat him on these other levels. It's kind of like college, you know. If one team beats another consistently, that other team might be better than them. But here in the racing world, it ain't like that result don't matter. It's like how much money do you have to get drafted in this imaginary draft that never happens, and now you're officially a pro because you have more money than the other guy who beat you. The fuck's wrong with you people? It's fucking ridiculous. But anyway, I'm going to start talking about ASCS National because ASCS National Tour, you don't have to have 800,000, probably have to have 350. Still crazy, but there's a lot of mom and pop teams that live in the ASCS Tour that these areas still travel to, and it's not an open motor. We're about to talk about that open motor psychoticness like Northern California. I'm still mind blown after what I learned over there. But anyway, so the ASCS National Tour, I'm going to start talking about them more because they need some more respect. The ASCS National Tour, end of February, 2 nights at Canyon here in Arizona, then a West Coast swing, 6, 7, and 8 at Merced, Placerville, and Petaluma, then a to-be-announced the next weekend. That's first weekend of March, they're going to be at Merced, Placerville, Petaluma, then it's a to-be-announced the next weekend. Where should that be? It's easy for me, something like Cottage Grove. I know there's been some stuff between ASCS and Cottage Grove. I really don't know. But I think ASCS National at Cottage Grove would be a hell of a race. And it's in that area, in that region. You even have Marysville around there. That would be a good idea. Silver Dollar, obviously, these are the open style 360s that race up there. I think it's a really cool thing that they're actually going up there with ASCS Motors because they got the Outlaw 360s that really, it's ridiculous. They're putting just as much money in those 360s as a 410. It's just insane. So to get regular 360 racing in a national event racing scene over there in Northern California is definitely going to help out a lot. I saw Mark Ashcraft, Hahn, Harley White, Hasse. I don't think so if you're talking about McKenna Hasse. But the thing about ASCS is it's not just about the national tour drivers, it's about the local racers that compete with them. So there's always going to be a rival-style battle because local guys can afford to compete with them. Unlike World of Outlaws, you're not going to roll out a $125,000 sprint car most of the time if your area doesn't race it. And there's a lot more areas that have 360, competitive 360 racing. Another option, Banks, Oregon. I like a little short track racing, Sunset Speedway. So then they go down to Devil's Bow, then they go to US 36 in Missouri, then a return to Bull's Gap, Volunteer Speedway in Tennessee. That's a must-see. Then Williams Grove and Sellens Grove. And that's it for PA. No Port Royal. I mean, you have URC up there. I believe that's the name of the series. No Port Royal at all. Oh, and I see Seth Bergman returning this year. That's going to be good. But no Port Royal in PA. And personally, I'm fine with that. Port Royal's doing some messed up stuff. I see they jacked the rates up on the reserve seats. I think they jacked up on season tickets or something like that. Somebody was bitching today. I think the reserve seats don't count for certain big events. So I'm guessing they rented out the track to the Outlaws or something. I'm not sure. Don't know for sure. Although for those who don't know it, about 80% of the World of Outlaws schedule is rent-a-tracks by the Outlaws themselves or their promotional organization that is ran by executives within the World Racing Group. It's sad. They're not even a real tour in a way. But more so, PA, no Grandview, no Path Valley. Path Valley is a perfect, no trailways, no BAPs. These are 360 tracks in Pennsylvania. Short, quick action. Tracks that a 360, with the exception of BAPS maybe, a 360 could beat a 410 at Path Valley or Trailways. These are our 360 sprint car tracks. But no one says hi. Whatever, PA. Path Valley, Trailways, you're dropping the ball on this. You need to find a way to add a date in this swing. And even some New York tracks. We'll talk about that in a little bit, too. Then they go to Plymouth, Indiana. I-96 Tri-City to be, or I-96, then Tri-City in Illinois to be announced the next night. That should be Tri-State. Looks like Hobstadt. I don't think they have a World of Outlaws sprint car race scheduled. I don't think they have a winged race scheduled outside of Race Saver events. So that should be a Tri-State event right there the next night after Tri-City, Illinois. It's not that far of a drive. Then it goes Lakeside, Creek County, Route 66, Amarillo. Then a to be announced before they go all the way up to freaking Washington the next weekend. That should be a trip down to Vado, which apparently has no ASCS national races this coming up year. I guess you're not big enough for them. Or here's another idea, or a travel down I-40 for a nice 2-night show that next weekend at Hanford, Or maybe go put on a real show at Ventura. That's on the way. Or even Ocean Speedway. Of course, you got to compete with the Sprint Car Challenge Tour and Civil War. There's issues and all that. But I think Hanford would be a heck of a race. Marysville wouldn't be bad either. It's on that swing. Then you got the Washington swing. Grays Harbor, Skagit, then down to Galatian, US 36, Riverside, I-30, Lawton, Knoxville, Southern Iowa, to be announced. That should be, few dates in there of, I think maybe like I-55 or 34. 34 Raceway would be good right after Southern Iowa. It's right down the street. Then you got I-80, Lucas Oil for their Hockey McMillan Memorial Race, I-30 for the Short Track Nationals, Devil's Bow, TMS to finish the year. Hold on just a second. I'm about to have an interesting segment come up here. The thing is, what's missing? PA is dropping the ball on this. Path Valley, Trailways, these little quarter-mile tracks, this ASCS National Tour is what fits your racetrack. You're going to have a full field of race cars. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And these cars suit your track. I know Grandview's kind of its own little deal. But Trailways, Path Valley especially, that would be amazing to have them at Path Valley. And Virginia Motor Speedway, I don't understand why they don't have a date. They're right after Volunteer at Bulls Gap, and that's going to be a hell of a race. That's the Bulls Gap. Pay attention to it next year. That high-banked, unreal fast racetrack in Tennessee. It's a late model track, but sprint cars are going to fly around there. I don't know why New York don't pick a date when they go to PA if Trailways and Path Valley say no. And why Ohio blackballs ASCS, I have no idea. And also why Vado has no date. It's just weird. They have all the money in the world with Mesilla Valley Transportation. My I Loving It events, my I'm loving it events, longlivethechaz.com. Check it out. Get us or get a new t-shirt. We got them being printed up off the website. Let's see here. PA is sucking Tony's dick. Whoa, we got us a hell of a comment there, not ASCS. PA is sucking Tony's dick, dude. So is Ohio. Everybody, this is this power structure. This is this boss up in here. This is this man. I run shit. I'm king dog. Keep on. And there's a little table there. Tony, World Racing Group, Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Bell, Roth. You know, throw them all in this little circle. Casey Kane. Who else you gonna add in there that's controlling the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series? I'm pretty sure I'm missing one or two names. Kinzer. I mean, name a few. There's only like what, 12 guys, 10 guys you can fit in the room and control the world of sprint car racing. Now you get to throw TRD's executive in there, Fords and Toyotas. You people, I mean, come on. But I'm loving it events of the ASCS Tour is going to be the California tracks. Placerville more than any. Obviously, it's going to be a great track for 360s as a short track. And glad to see them say a F you to the Hammer Motors, at least for once, one weekend for a big national show. The schedule's close to an Outlaw race. I mean, or Outlaw schedule. I mean, think about it. The Outlaws are, 80%, 70 to 80% rent tracks. It's not rent a rides, it's rent a tracks. Because regular tracks can't afford, a $50,000 sanctioning fee. So they just rent them out for $15 grand in bank, I think. Something around those lines. And, that's just how it goes. And the Outlaws mainly stay in Ohio, PA, the little sector there. They make 2 swings to the West Coast. They start the year with the swing to Florida. And I guess this year they're kind of going to branch out, but it's really it's 2 big swings. Or 1 big swing to the West Coast, or 2 big swings to the West Coast and back, and that's how they make it a national tour. That's pretty close to what the ASCS Tour has right here. And then the other race is Bull's Gap. Bull's Gap is the other race that I really think is... I'm telling you, tune into that one. Tune into that one. We'll open up the phone lines here for just a second. We got this other phone over here off to the side. If you want to comment, want to talk about Toyota, want to talk about any of the things that may have happened over the few weeks here in the racing world, we just put a number in the description. You could call in and talk about it. So why don't you give us a call? The number is 469-441-0658. 461-441-0658. We'll go ahead and throw out some sponsors currently that have made this show happen. Big D's Pizza, Fremont, Ohio. Canyon State Car Care in Phoenix, Arizona. Dennis Body Shop and Sandblasting Service, DennisBodyShop.com. Eckman Dental Arts, Farm Mafia Production, Fast Racing Graphics. Check them out right now if you need any kind of graphic work done. You can even make your own t-shirt. I did it too. DirtRacingApparel.com. Gutshall Automotive in Harrisburg, Mechanicsburg area. Lone Star 600 coming up next year. McKenzie Diesel, Redemption Hardware Flooring in Pennsylvania, VONTREX and White Racing Shocks. Links are in the description currently right now. Also, Colleen's Creation. You can get a custom cut made. I had one. I was going to bring it in here, but I got in here a little bit too quick because I had to. I didn't want y'all or anyone to be late. We have a long list of supporters. And the new website, longlivethechaz.com, longlivethechaz.com. This is the new logo, by the way. The new logo. We'll even put I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of like that. New logo. We got hats for it. We got shirts for it. We even got sports bras and panties for it because I got to get that done one day. There's going to be a hell of a Snapchat video or maybe a reality show come up soon. But once again, numbers open 469-441-0658. I am going to the Gateway Dirt Nationals. I was not able to make it to PRI. I did not have any kind of funding to be able to make it to PRI. There's a lot of money. I mean, my car is I'm really risking it. I'm going to drive to Gateway, and I'm really, really risking it. Like, it's very plausible come next Monday, I'm stranded in the middle of New Mexico somewhere. It's very plausible. And if I go Facebook Live talking about there's aliens, I have seen some shit. Let's just say that much, because I haven't done any drugs. But if I go, maybe I'm dehydrated or something, and I couldn't find anything to drink or eat or something. That would be the only plausible situation there. But yeah, lines are open 469-441-0658 if you want to call in and talk about it. There's a lot of things going on. 469-441-0658. 469-441-0658. I'm trying to get ability to go to Tulsa Shootout. I got some things being worked out with one sponsor. I do have stickers that I'm going to be getting made soon. I also have a new mic coming with the updated logos and everything. LongLiveTheChaz.com. And also, it really helps a lot, guys. I can't stress it enough. If you want to become a supporter on the page, there's a little heart symbol here on the actual video. Subscribing to that is helpful, but also direct is always best. PayPal.me. There's a link in the description under Become a Supporter. That will help out a lot. If you can go in there, anything matters, anything helps. It goes a long way. It seriously does, especially when I go on these trips. It's kind of why I haven't made too many big trips. I haven't really had the funding. I'm probably going to end up spending a lot of money trying to get to Gateway, and hopefully I can find somewhere to stay, or then I'm going to be like, I don't want to sit and sleep in the car, but Airbnb better have a hell of a deal. That's all I got to say. So the plan is Gateway Dirt Nationals. I may take a little trip to North Dakota. Then I'll go to Tulsa, and then I'll go to Florida. Hopefully I'll have a place to be at in Florida. I'm in the midst of getting my passport. I jumped Texas's ass here recently, and they're sending my shit so I can send it in to get approved. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to Australia this year, but maybe into next year. Who knows, though? Somebody may see my stuff, may like it enough, we may be going to Australia. We have not got one call. 469-441-0658. When is the Rumble in Fort Wayne? It's asphalt. It's Billy Weiss. Kansas. We got Kansas calling in. Hold on. Here we go. Calling in. Hello.
Yes, Chaz Thompson. It's Justin Lawson.
It's Justin Lawson. Well, ain't that some shit? What's going on?
Hey, it's good to talk to you. I gotta say, my wife's a big fan.
Your wife is? Well, ever since I got the pretty white teeth, it seems like the female crowd has went up a few notches, so.
Yeah, well, she has a smart mouth, so she likes the fact that you just kind of bring it. And so, yeah, you got a good thing going on with your media production there in Open Wheel, and we appreciate what you're doing. I gotta say, my wife.
All right, I just had to do a little quick audio check. I mean, but you do media too, right?
Yes, sir, I do. Yes, we have a show, and I watch you. We're here in Kansas City, and I wouldn't mind hooking up with you sometime. I mean, you know how it is. Half the crowd kind of disagrees with you, half the crowd agrees with you. But either way, promotion of dirt and Open Wheel specifically is not a bad thing either way,
Oh, no, and since I started doing this stuff, I don't know, I feel like the Larson thing sidetracked on what I had going, but he blatantly came out of nowhere and started bashing me.
Yeah.
But I still reached 9 million people to this point. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Even though, it's Facebook and all that, it's still the numbers don't lie. I mean, it's a lot of people, how I've done it or what I've done it. But my message has been very clear. The dirt guys are kind of unknown, underrated, and unappreciated. And I think the reason some fans get mad at me is I try to say that they live in the shadow of the Larsons and the Bells, and that when you look at the sport in a historical preference, the dirt racer used to get a lot more attention when there wasn't a NASCAR driver getting more attention that's from dirt. It
Sure.
truly is that cold trickle effect, as I call it. That's about when things started changing with Trickle, and then obviously Jeff Gordon, who came along a few years later, racing for the same person who funded the movie, and also he even tried to register as a 46, and then they couldn't do it because of the movie. And then Rick Hendrick did race the 46 the next year at the Daytona 500 with Al Unser Jr. So that was kind of funny. But anyways, I think the message has been pretty clear, and I don't understand why that's a bad message at all. It seems like the true people who are against it are either fans or click boys, is what I like to call them.
Well, the social media avenue that you seem to have an anchor in is the way to go. I mean, a lot of people I don't think realize that over 85% of website traffic is first generated at the social media level. So all these guys and these teams that are putting all this effort into their websites, that's not a bad thing, but reaching people how you are through social media is where it's at.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you look at what I did with my site. I launched my site. Obviously, you know, I built some really amazing sites like GrimsleyClassics.com. I mean, we got $100,000 classic vehicles on there, and I've done a really good job with it. And it's just as badass as a Mecum website. I mean, it's a $5,000-$10,000 website. But it's hard to get traffic on there because, I built the race car. They got to drive it. You know, they're not paying me to market it or promote it, you know. So, I mean, they got to do that side of it. You know, here's the race car. Now drive it. It's the best of the best, man. I mean, I put the engine in there and everything, but now you got to drive it. You know, I mean, go take it to the track and put it out there.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the website I got. You know, I've got, I think in a day and a half, 5,000 views on the Facebook on the website, and that's all directed from Facebook posts. I mean, I can go look at the stats right now. I think it's 99.6% all derivatives of Facebook from the posts that I made through the site put onto Facebook. So you have to utilize Facebook, even if you get a website. Websites are great. I think mine looks really badass. It makes you look more professional. You're able to somewhat garnish ownership of your identity with a website too, so people can't, like, if you got a young racer coming up right now, I might go do it here in a minute. I can go buy MariahEade.com, you know, and now if they want Mariah, I could just go buy Mariah Eade Racing, and all these other things, and now I kind of own her. Unless, you know, I have to. That's kind of what people did with like Pizza.com and PizzaHut.com. They just started buying them all up when the internet first started, and then they eventually sold them for, you know, I think Pizza.com sold for like $2 million recently. Getting off track, but yeah, social media. I mean, a website's good for those things, legally in a way, and professionalism. I did it mainly for the shop because I really hated some of the quality prints from Teespring. So I switched over to be able to do it on another platform. And like I said, it was a good opportunity to see what I do, because websites something that I do on the side for work. So I think it was a good display of what I could do there too.
The one thing that we're doing here in Kansas City, you may or may not be aware, I'm president of the Central Auto Racing Boosters, but a good balance between social media promotion and actual hands-on. And we're trying to get the kids involved, the next generation of racers involved, you know, because a lot of kids these days, I hear a lot of complaints about, kids and their tablets, kids and their phones. They're always got their face in their phones. Well, that's where we need to be.
Right.
We need to be in front of them on those electronic devices, but then you got to have a good balance. So, you know, we incorporate the Pinewood Derby races and whatnot.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that argument of kids are always on the phone is why I think dirt racing is the fix for that, because they're not going to want to be off their phone for 4 hours to watch a NASCAR race, but dirt racing is segmented perfectly for heavy phone usage, because it's an 8-lap race. It's 8-lap heat races. You know, and then the main event is maybe, if you go green to checkered with a 30-lap sprint car race, we're talking about 5 minutes, maybe.
Right.
You know, it's
it appeals
not long.
To that short attention span. Unfortunately, we do have a short attention span, but dirt racing at a 30-lap feature is a lot more appealing with constant action than a 3 or 4 hour, single file. So.
Yeah, hold on. I just had to do the math on that. So if you're turning 12 seconds, say it's a short track, if you're turning 12-second laps and you do a 30-lap sprint car race, it could be over in 6 minutes. So I mean, that's why I say, you know, I think that's perfect for our current world, because we're on the cell phones too. All these old people are douchebags. You know, they're just talking shit about young people like they do every generation.
Yeah,
you know, and we're on the phone too. I don't think they're you know. I think the only
exactly that's where I found you. Most of the people in my local dirt community You know, I have a history. My family has a history in dirt racing. But most of the people that know me in my local racing community first met me on social media.
Kevin Woody just said that 5 minutes is why it doesn't make good TV.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
my response to that is the Supercross format is identical to dirt, and it works live.
Yeah. You know, of course, it depends on the facility and the crew that's there and the efficiency of the show and whatnot. You know, it makes it maybe a little more challenging than a constant 4-hour.
Let's not let this black guy ruin this white man's show right now, because it's usually him calling in. I'm about tired of this guy. Anyways, I'm about to go get Colin Kaepernick on this shit. So, what is your opinion on the midget situation? What have you been observing this stuff going on?
You know, I hear a lot of balking at Toyota, kind of overtaking. And kind of hiking the price up with midget motors. But really, before Toyota stepped up and manufactured and presented a motor that was less maintenance heavy, and really, I mean, once you add up the cost of the maintenance on the rebuilds and whatnot, I mean, is the Toyota motor expensive? Yes, but really nobody else was stepping up at the time. And Toyota said, well, you know, here this is, and this is what it's going to cost, but this is what it can do. And it makes me wonder how that World of Outlaws motor, how it's going to compare to the other motors in the series currently.
Well, with the damn wing on the car, obviously that motor can play a big factor, but there's a lot of other stuff outside of the motor that plays factors too. Obviously, Davis Engineering's getting a lot of attention at the PRI show, I've been hearing. So, but they focus on the traction control for drag racing, supposedly. But I just see it. I don't know if you were there earlier in the show where I was talking about the power. It's just all about taking power away from the regular racer or regular person and making it a country club. It's changed. Well, it's already been that way. But now they're getting the car companies involved so it can be for sure that way. Because if a car company wants something and the World of Outlaws want to do something else, or a team wants to do something else, and that car company pulls their support, they're done. You know, these people who are funded by car companies are making a lot of money in NASCAR through it. And obviously Keith Kunz Motorsports makes a lot of money through TRD. So,
right.
I mean, it's not all free. I mean, they're doing it for a reason.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, money, of course, runs the world of racing, and at some point with these motors, it becomes a point of how much power can you buy. Of course, talent.
Well, in today's world, you can buy all the power you want with money. People are so they're so prevalent on it. Yeah, why would they not sell their show for the dollar bill? That's what they do anyway.
Right. It kind of takes away some from the engineering appeal of the sport, I think, you know, because just similar to what has been talked about in our Midwest Lightning Sprint series, I mean, they run Suzukis and Hondas, and really, you know, there's not a lot of improving you can do on those motors once you buy them. You know, it's almost in the same realm as comparable to a crate motor. You know, there's only so much improving you can do on that Japanese engineering, you know. But,
I don't know. I think isn't a lot of the Toyota stuff? It's kind of American manufactured, ain't it?
Yeah, that's true. But you know, the engineering aspect of it, and as far, I mean, it's not like
pretty much. From my understanding, it's just they basically just fund it to umbrella their name. It's American made and manufactured. It's just under their banner so that they umbrella their name and become a bigger entity.
Yeah. I mean, the engineers obviously are employees of Toyota, which is probably, you know, I can't speak to where the headquarters of the engineering would come from.
It'll be interesting because apparently the one thing, you know, all the Chevy motors are just, you know, they're not really Chevy blocks, you know, they're replicated. But the Ford motor that Stewart did is actually a Ford motor. The block is from Ford, so.
Right.
I'm sure Toyota.
I was there at Lakeside Speedway for their last race of the season, the World of Outlaws show, when Donnie Schatz won there with his Ford motor. And we were getting a lot of shouts from the Ford fans, of course. They were pretty proud of that, making sure they got that Ford logo in the victory lane shot.
Well, and it's funny, he had the Ford logo on there forever, just finally had the motor. I mean, I think manufacturing rivalries are fine. It's just how it happens. I think the local racer importance is a big deal in this transition. Any shout-outs? Who do you want to give a shout-out to, or where can people find your stuff at?
You can find my media stuff at JD Lawson Media. You can find my community work at Central Auto Racing Boosters. And, basically any of our local tracks around here, Lakeside Speedway, Valley Speedway, I-35 Speedway, Bethany Speedway, CMS, all of our local Kansas City tracks we appreciate. And, thank you for taking the time with me tonight, Chaz. It's been good talking to you, and I hope we can have a chance to talk again soon.
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to I hear what you're doing with the kids and stuff. I'm trying to line up events live at adult venues. Not adult like strippers like Haley Dugan over here. But like sports bars or, restaurants or coffee shops, stuff like that that's live.
Sure.
Almost like
Sure.
places you go and a guy's playing a guitar. Instead of a guy playing a guitar, it's two guys with microphones talking about this racing deal and getting these regular world people that I keep talking about to hear what we're talking about, and kind of get things, doing a live show from all these venues. I think that would be a really cool idea. And then of course they're trying to get me to race. So
hopefully we'll get to cross paths down in Tulsa, and if you make it around the Kansas City area, let's talk again.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chaz.
Thanks for calling in, Justin.
Bye-bye.